Namaskar everyone and welcome to Bharat Katha. I'm your host Omkar, and in this episode, which is about the nexus of Pakistan and China with and within India, we will be exposing a lot about the external as well as internal warfare of these two countries with India. So we will be starting with the history of various events unfolding right after our independence, which majorly contains 4 5 major war with these countries, and then we will come to the more important issues which directly concern us. There are various individuals, motivated individuals, as to say, who have been helping these two countries. Today we'll be exposing those, and we will be telling how exactly the mechanism and how exactly this works. So stay tuned for this episode with us. Guiding us is Brigadier Hemant Mahajan again. So let's start.
What I will do now is talk about the history of warfare in India since 1947. India became an independent country in 47, and immediately the first war started, which was on Kashmir. This war went on for nearly 6 months in Jammu and Kashmir and about nearly 1 year into Ladakh part of Jammu and Kashmir. This war we won. In fact, in this war, we could have easily captured the whole of Pakistani occupied Jammu and Kashmir, but that was not done because no political leadership was provided to this war. Whatever was done at a military level. There were great people like General Thimaiya who ensured that Kashmir remained with us. After 47 war, the next war we fought was in 1962 with China. Of course, presently a military standoff is going on with China in Ladakh. So this war has come into the enmity with China has come into lot of prominence. We will talk about this 1962 war later. The third war which we fought was in 1965, which was with Pakistan. Pakistan thought that because of India's so-called military defeat, India was a weak country and they could exploit this opportunity to win Kashmir away from India. But no, it did not happen. We won that war. However, whatever gains we made in the war, we lost in the peacetime negotiations. We gave away Hajipur Pass, and Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri, who was the Prime Minister at that point of time, died in Tashkent under mysterious circumstances. The next war we fought was in 1971, in which we broke Pakistan into two pieces. Bangladesh became an independent country. This was one of the greatest history achieved by India since 1947. However, after this war, Pakistan changed its tactics. It decided to start an unconventional war with India, which they named as Operation Topaz or Operation Karakoram. Now, how was this war started later different than the earlier wars? Earlier wars can be termed as conventional wars, which were fought on the borders of the country and in which Indian Army fought the Pakistani Army and the Indian Air Force fought the Pakistani Air Force. But in this war, which was started by General Ziaul Haq after 1972, this was named as Operation Karakoram because Karakoram is the highest peak in Pakistan. And Karakoram had three main components, K1, K2, and K3. K1 was the Khalistani terrorism, K2 was proxy war in Jammu and Kashmir, and K3 was spreading the terrorism or the proxy war into whole of India. In between, we started having insurgency in the northeast, which is presently on the low key, but there are some Naga groups and few groups in Manipur are still active. In between, we also started having problems in the central part of the country, which is called as Naxalism, or now they call themselves as Maoist. In 2004, all the left-wing extremist organizations came together and formed what is called as CPIM, Communist Party of India, Maoist, and a fair amount of violence is still going on in the central part of the country. So after 71 war, this is what has happened, Operation Topaz or Operation Karakoram. This continued for a long time, till the time we came to Kargil war. Kargil War was fought in 99, and we have the 21st anniversary of Kargil War uh, 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 within next 2 days. Now, Kargil War or Operation Vijay, as it was called, was a battle of blood, guts, and glory. It was a war of young officers and young soldiers who defeated the intrusion or the infiltration which was done by the Pakistani army into the unheld heights of Kargil. We won that war, and we are going to talk about it in this episode itself. After the Kargil war, one of the aims of the war had been achieved, that it refueled terrorism in the Kashmir Valley. Uh, this happened in 99. Thereafter, a lot of anti-terrorist operations kept on going on in Kashmir, lot of anti-insurgency operations in the northeast. The police started operations against the Naxals in central part of the country. And in 2014, we had a government change in which new government came into power, which was different than the earlier government. Without getting into the politics, Pakistan and China, which had been waging a combination of conventional war and terrorism, uh, conventional war and terrorism, this continued till about 2014. Then it was realized that basically uh, this war was not yielding adequate dividends as far as China and Pakistan was concerned. So therefore, they started off a new kind of a war since 2014, and it can be called in the armed forces parlance as a hybrid war. Now, how is this war different than the earlier wars? In the hybrid war, which China and Pakistan are carrying on with since 2014, the main reason why the war was started is because they thought that terrorism, insurgency, Naxalism, and conventional war was not adequate to deter India. They thought that the government which is coming to power will go all out to protect national interest. So therefore, they decided that instead of fighting a war on limited fronts, why not make use of all kinds of warfare so that we are able to subdue India. So they started this hybrid war in a big way. Now, what is this hybrid war? Hybrid war is a combination of all kinds of war. For example, you have the Ladakh standoff in which there are military aspects. In addition to this, China is carrying out what is called as the propaganda warfare against you, call it propaganda warfare, call it disinformation warfare, call it psychological warfare, in which they try and tell you that India should not fight with China because China is economically too strong militarily. And who is doing this kind of a propaganda warfare? Some subverted Indians are doing it in our media, be it print media, be it social media, or be it electronic media. In addition to this propaganda warfare, there's another warfare called as the economic warfare. China initially started infiltrating into the Indian economy. Their infiltration later became a complete aggression. And now a complete war is going on the economic front with China. China imported stuff worth almost about $90 billion into India in year 2019, while we were able to export only goods worth about $12 billion. That means the disparity between imports and exports is almost 1:6 or 1:7. So China made tremendous profits by selling goods into India. So therefore, their economy grew stronger. So therefore, their defense budget increased. So therefore, the Ladakh aggression today, which is still continuing as we talk now, is basically been funded by those Indians who are still buying goods from China. So we have an economic war, and there are many people in India today who have no patriotism at all left when they say, no, we cannot live without China. There is a strong lobby of corporates. There are a strong lobby of some so-called experts who say it is impossible to live without China. Well, that's a subject we need to talk in more detail. Then you have what is called as the diplomacy war. China doesn't let you do anything worthwhile at a world forum. We wanted to declare Pakistan as the sponsoring country for terrorism. This was stopped by China in Financial Action Task Force. We wanted to declare Hafiz Saeed as the world terrorist. That was stopped by China. And China opposes anything which India does at the world forum. So call it as a diplomatic war. Then there's what is called as the political war. In this political war, what China does is tries to subvert our system of governance, infiltrate into the political parties, fund them, pay some money to the various NGOs that they have, and thereafter force them to change policies so that the policies made suit China. So you have a political war. A lot has been talked about it on the TV channel. Then you have what is called the legal war, in which China makes you follow all the laws which the world has passed. However, it does not follow any laws. For example, under the name of World Trade Organization, we are supposed to be allowing free imports from China into our country. However, when India tries to export something to China, they just stop you by various means. So they utilize WTO rules to their advantage. Similarly, in Ladakh military stand, again, what is happening today is we were made to sign 3-4 agreements from the year 1995 till 2003, in which the agreement said that we cannot use firearms on the line of actual control. So while we have an army sitting in Ladakh, but it cannot be used for pushing the Chinese back militarily. So they are trying our hands down by the so-called Peace and Tranquility Agreement, which we have signed some time back. So these are various combinations of warfare which are being fought at the same time. Add to it, we have another war called as the media war, in which China has purchased certain sections of media by giving them advertisements, etc. So therefore, they are simply not able to write anything against China. While China carries out disinformation warfare with us by spreading fake news, fake videos, etc., we just cannot enter the Chinese media. Chinese social media has a great firewall which nobody can penetrate through. Then they go, then they carry out what is called as a cyber war against us. Cyber war includes hacking your sites, stealing information. They also are carrying out a technological war against you, in which they use their hardware systems, their software systems to spy on you and steal data from you, also called as the big data. For example, 59 apps which the government banned some time back were basically Chinese spies into your mobiles, into your laptop, or into your electronic system. However, we have a lot of hardware component in which the Chinese are still there. So they steal information. Then there is another thing called the water war. So basically, China is carrying out a mix of a military war, a propaganda war, an economic war, a political war, a diplomatic war, a legal war. You name a thing, and it is there. What now issue is this is all going on, and it is helped by its permanent friend called Pakistan. What Pakistan does is a separate subject for talking by itself. So Pakistan is also used to ensure that India remains stuck up in the Indian subcontinent, so that it is not able to prosper. Its economy cannot grow. It cannot challenge China's supremacy into the Asian into Asia. Then there's a problem as far as maritime domain is concerned, in which China, some experts claim that China is carrying out what is called as a string of pearls, in which they've established certain military bases in ports, like we have the Gwadar port, which is in Pakistan, we have the Sitwe port in Sri Lanka, we have the Chittagong port, which is in Bangladesh, we have the Sitwe port in Myanmar. The port in Sri Lanka is not Sitwe, but it is Hambantota. So there is supposed to be some kind of a military bases located here, in which China is creating a problem. So these are all kinds of warfare which China has launched against you with the help of Pakistan simultaneously. So we need to talk about all these kind of things. And what is more important is, if China is carrying out these kind of wars, is it that India is just quiet? No, that will not be correct. We are also fighting back. We are also replying to them in a tit for tat fashion. However, obviously, there is a tremendous scope for improvement. But what must be understood is that in this series of wars which China and Pakistan is fighting with you, the it is not only the Indian army which will fight the war, it is not only the government, but every citizen today is a soldier who is required to fight back as far as the hybrid war with China is concerned. All of us have to ensure that we economically boycott China. We also have to ensure that we do not fall prey to the propaganda which has been unleashed by China, Pakistan, and its subverted supporters in India. We do not uh, we also it has to be ensured that we do not sort of forward fake news, fake videos which come into our social media without checking up, etc. So all of us today are soldiers in fighting a hybrid war against China and Pakistan. So I'm sure with the series of presentations that we are going to have in the future, we will all become patriotic Indians who will do more than their duty to protect our national interest and become citizens who will ask a question, okay, what can I do for the country, and not ask a question, okay, what kind of a concessions will the country give me. So I think it is important that all of us educated on various wars with Pakistan and China is fighting with us, and help our armed forces, help the security forces in fighting a combined war against China.